At the beginning of the film, a teenage boy named Toby is focused on watching a video on his phone screen. His dad comes in and asks him to help fix the car in the garage. But because he's too absorbed, Toby doesn't respond at all. His dad finally goes out to the garage by himself and opens the car hood. Not long after that, two masked men appear from behind. They turn out to be thieves. Without saying much, they immediately stab Toby's dad and drive off with the car. Toby, who is still busy with his phone, only comes out after hearing noise from the garage and then runs over to his dad. Police sirens are heard, and faintly, there's a woman's voice calling Toby's name. The story then shifts to a psychiatrist's office. There, Toby is sitting with his mom. He is advised to join a disappearance therapy program so his mind can calm down after the trauma of his father's death.
Clear your mind of the think. Such a wonderful time.
The story then moves to a sailboat. Toby is going through the final stage of the program. The participants will be taken to a deserted island to camp and live alone for 3 days and 3 nights as part of the recovery process. Toby is then escorted by an instructor named Kay to the spot where he will stay.
Uninhabited island chain of Pulau H of this course.
Before leaving, Kay reminds Toby to come to the pickup point on the 3rd day before dawn.
You decide to be the one I met 2 weeks ago.
After Kay leaves, Toby looks around the island and then starts setting up his tent. To get rid of the loneliness, Toby also imagines an imaginary friend like in the movie Robinson. After that, Toby goes into the forest to collect some twigs. There, he sees a coconut stuck behind a branch. When he pulls the branch, Toby is shocked because he actually finds a dead monkey. Not long after, loud noises from other monkeys are heard from the treetops. When he gets back to the tent, Toby gets annoyed again. A monkey has messed up the tent and eaten all his supplies.
Hey, no, get out of it. My ass.
His frustration grows when he tries to start a fire. Because he's upset, Toby ends up throwing away the only lighter he has. As soon as he realizes it was a mistake, he immediately starts looking for it. While searching, his foot accidentally steps on a shell and starts bleeding. But from that, Toby gets the idea to use the shell as dinner. That night, after eating too many shellfish, Toby gets food poisoning and starts throwing up. In a weak condition, he walks into the forest to get the young coconut he saw earlier that day. On the way, Toby suddenly sees a mysterious shadow flash behind him. He tries to find the source of the shadow with his flashlight. That's when Toby sees a horned human figure that looks extremely terrifying. Panicking, Toby immediately runs back to the tent, grabs a flare gun, and points it at the figure. But before he can do much, he staggers toward the trees and eventually faints, probably because of the earlier food poisoning. The next morning, Toby wakes up and is shocked to see 2 young coconuts near him, already neatly cut and ready to drink. Because he's thirsty, Toby immediately drinks the coconut water. When he looks toward the beach, he's even more surprised to see a beautiful young woman bathing there. Not long after, the woman finishes and walks into the forest. Curious, Toby secretly follows her. After briefly losing track of her, suddenly, the woman is already standing in front of him holding a machete. Then she runs toward Toby. Toby panics and falls down. But it turns out she's not attacking him. She runs past him toward a pig trapped in a snare. Toby then approaches the woman. She immediately tells him that he can't stay there and orders him to leave. Even so, Toby keeps following her while asking if she's really from the island and if there's a nearby town, because he's hungry. But the woman doesn't answer at all. Sometime later, the woman is seen roasting the pig she caught by the river. There's also a simple hut with a roof made of leaves. Toby then asks how she ended up on the island. After eating, the woman gets ready to go back. Toby asks if he should return to his tent, but she forbids him because she says it's dangerous. Growing more curious, Toby asks what makes the place dangerous while continuing to follow her, but she still doesn't answer.
Hey,
When Toby asks her name, the woman suddenly turns around and raises her machete. Toby is startled, but it turns out the machete is aimed at a venomous snake near them. After that, she tells Toby to stay close to the fire because snakes don't like fire. Toby just stays silent, still confused. As she walks away, the woman finally mentions her name, Madeleine. That night, Toby stays in the hut by the river. While sleeping, he wakes up from a nightmare about a monkey-masked man stabbing his dad. At the same time, the rain has already put out the fire near the hut. Toby tries to start the fire again. That's when he hears a strange sound from behind the trees that he first thinks is Madeleine. He then tries to approach the source of the sound and walks into the forest. The next morning when Toby wakes up, Madeleine is already there cooking. She notices the wound on his foot.
I'll get you some medicine later.
After eating, Madeleine asks Toby to look for medicinal plants to treat his wound. On the way, Toby asks if there are horned animals, like goats, on the island. From their conversation, it's revealed that Madeleine lives on the island only with her mother. Not long after, they find a special tree that Madeleine usually uses as medicine, and she treats Toby's foot. Since that day, their relationship starts to feel closer.
Hey.
Madeleine helps Toby build a hut, makes him a spear, and teaches him how to catch fish with it. As it starts to get dark, they walk toward a large tree that looks eerie. It turns out to be the entrance to Madeleine's home. She tells Toby to always carry his spear wherever he goes. Still curious, Toby asks if the horned creature will come tonight. But Madeleine instead says that her mother is actually kind. It's just that her mother will kill him if she finds Toby. That makes Toby even more confused. Since he isn't allowed to go inside, he finally says that tomorrow he will leave because it's time for him to be picked up. That statement makes Madeleine angry because he's just going to leave the next day.
He's picking me up first thing in the morning.
If you want to leave, then just leave. You were just gonna leave without...
To tell... Safe.
If you want to leave, then just leave.
Meanwhile, somewhere else, Kay, the instructor, hears screams and goes to the island where Toby is. She searches for him alone in the middle of the forest, but in the end, she is killed by a mysterious creature.
Toby, have time for all this?
The next morning, Toby wakes up a bit late and immediately panics, then runs to the beach to meet Kay, according to the pickup schedule. But when he reaches the shore, he doesn't see Kay or the boat that was supposed to arrive. After waiting for a while, he spots a life buoy floating near the rocks and approaches it. That's when Toby is shocked to see Kay's sailboat overturned, not far from the shore. Not long after, a middle-aged woman appears, swimming out of the overturned boat toward the beach, then walking into the forest without saying a word. Curious, Toby dives into the boat. Inside, he is immediately horrified to see Kay's body floating. In panic, Toby quickly gets out of the boat and heads toward Madeleine's place. On the way, he finds Kay's flashlight that had gone missing the night before. Toby then enters a cave that serves as the path to Madeleine's home. Inside the dark and creepy cave, a bat suddenly crashes into him, causing the flashlight he's holding to fall. Toby panics in the darkness. After managing to find the flashlight and turn it back on, he sees strange drawings on the cave walls that leave him confused. After getting out of the cave, Toby continues walking through the forest. Not long after, he is shocked again when he sees the same middle-aged woman shooting a goat with a bow, then stabbing it brutally. Toby chooses to quietly leave the place. A little later, Toby finds a house that he believes belongs to Madeleine. He goes inside. There, he finds Kay's bag, along with several books and old photos. Toby feels relieved when he sees a communication radio on the table. He immediately grabs it and tries to make an emergency call. A voice briefly responds through the radio, but after that, the connection goes silent again without any answer. Soon after, the middle-aged woman, who turns out to be Madeleine's mother, enters the house with Madeleine. Toby quickly hides under the bed. From there, he hears the mother telling Madeleine not to wander far from the house and to report immediately if she sees another human. While hiding, Toby is also shocked to see the severed head of a horned creature kept inside the house. That makes Madeleine start to suspect something. She approaches Toby's hiding spot. Toby finally comes out and whispers to her. Madeleine immediately tells him to leave because the place is dangerous. She asks Toby to go to the rocky beach and promises to meet him there. Toby then leaves Madeleine's house.
Fetch some water.
Toby builds a new hut and sets up several traps just in case. While eating by the beach, Toby sees a flash of light from the other side of the island. He then builds a large bonfire to send a signal. That night, Madeleine comes to see Toby. He tells her that the person who was supposed to pick him up is dead, and the boat was found overturned. He also says that he saw Madeleine's mother come out of the boat, so he's sure her mother killed Kay. Toby then asks what really happened on the island. Madeleine starts telling her story. She only remembers that her childhood was once full of happiness, playing with kids her age. Until one day, something terrible happened. She remembers herself crying alone in a corner of a room, while her mother was covered in blood and told her not to look. Since then, Madeleine feels that every night something bad always happens, as if there's a monster around them. Feeling sorry for her, Toby asks Madeleine to leave with him and wait for the search boat that he's sure will come looking for him. Madeleine finally agrees. She promises to meet Toby again tomorrow and tells him not to leave without her. The next morning, Toby wakes up after hearing a small plane flying near the island. He immediately runs to the beach, hoping to be seen. But the plane passes by, without noticing him. As he walks along the shore feeling disappointed, Toby sees an old, abandoned lighthouse tower. He goes inside and climbs to the top floor. There, Toby finds the lighthouse lamp, along with its diesel generator. He tries to start the engine, but it doesn't work. After checking it, he realizes the fuel is empty. That's when he remembers seeing a gasoline can at Madeleine's house. While walking through the forest, Toby is suddenly startled by Cameron, who appears from behind a big tree and almost hits him, thinking he's an enemy. Cameron explains that he came to the island after waiting a long time for Kay, who never showed up at the island where he was staying. After finding a rowboat, Cameron crossed over to Toby's island because he saw the bonfire Toby had lit earlier. That night, Cameron asks Toby to go with him to his island, which is clearly empty and safer. But Toby refuses because he doesn't want to leave Madeleine. Cameron is confused and keeps pushing him to leave until Toby finally gets angry. Toby stays determined to help Madeleine and heads to her house. When he enters the house, Toby doesn't find Madeleine. As he's about to leave, Madeleine's mother suddenly ambushes him from behind, holding a machete to his neck. Toby manages to break free and runs toward the trap area he had prepared earlier. When Madeleine's mother chases him, she hits the trap rope, causing a sharpened wooden stake to stab into her stomach. The woman immediately falls in pain. Toby approaches her. All this time, he believed Madeleine's mother killed Kay. But while dying, she instead admits that it was actually Madeleine who killed them all. Toby doesn't believe her and thinks she's lost her mind. However, Madeleine's mother then tells him how it all began. In the past, she and her husband, who was a pastor, came to the island to warn the locals who were performing worship rituals and sacrifices inside a church. The locals had warned them not to approach the altar. But little Madeleine, not understanding, went inside and stood right in the altar circle. Since then, something possessed Madeleine. She changed and brutally slaughtered everyone, leaving only herself alive. With her breath growing weaker, Madeleine's mother gives Toby a packet of red fruit. She says the fruit can help weaken the creature and that it's also afraid of light. She strongly warns Toby not to let Madeleine leave the island because she would endanger many people. With mixed feelings, Toby finally leaves her. Meanwhile, Cameron, who is waiting alone near the fire, suddenly hears a sound from the trees. He thinks it's Toby. At the same time, Toby runs back quickly to warn him, but he's too late. Madeleine finds Cameron first and kills him in the forest, far from the fire. When Toby arrives, he only finds bloodstains on the ground. From a distance, he then sees Madeleine approaching, while dragging her mother's body. Madeleine demands an explanation for what Toby did to her mother. Nervously, Toby says everything he did was for both of them. Unexpectedly, Madeleine hugs him instead. In the tense moment, Toby accidentally drops the packet of red fruit from his hand. As they move on the ground, Madeleine starts to sense something strange about Toby's behavior. In an instant, Madeleine transforms into a horrifying creature. Toby manages to knock her unconscious. He quickly grabs the red fruit, squeezes it into Madeleine's mouth, then ties her up with roots before running to the house to get gasoline. Carrying the gasoline, Toby heads to the lighthouse tower. After filling the diesel engine, the lighthouse lamp finally turns on. Meanwhile, Madeleine regains consciousness and manages to break free from her bindings. Toby stands at the top of the tower, watching the sea, hoping a ship will see the light. As he walks down the stairs carrying the gasoline can, the rotten steps give way and Toby falls. The gasoline can falls too, spilling its contents onto the floor. When Toby gets up and walks toward the door, it suddenly slams shut on its own. He immediately realizes Madeleine has arrived, and, sure enough, the creature attacks him with sharp claws. Toby tries to fight back. He's lucky to find many red fruits growing inside the building. Using everything he can, Toby finally manages to burn Madeleine inside the lighthouse. Without waiting any longer, Toby runs out to the beach and swims toward the ship that comes after seeing the lighthouse light from the island. At the end of the story, Toby is seen almost reaching the rescue ship, but just as he feels safe, Madeleine suddenly appears behind him. The film closes by showing Madeleine already on board the rescue ship.